Are you running a marriage and building a marriage that is truly about you, glorifying God, or are you pleasing people with your marriage? This is the question I want you to answer as you watch my video today. Is your marriage about pleasing people or about pleasing God? And there are many ways that, couples, spouses fall into this trap where you are pleasing people and living out your life, running your marriage for the praise of people rather than the praise of God. Let me tell you where I got this from. I got this from my Bible study. I've been doing a study of the book of John recently. And when I got to chapter 12, towards the end, verse 43 particularly, um, I saw that verse where Jesus said, where John rather had said that the Jews who believed in Jesus Christ could not make their belief known. They could not make their faith known. They could not make their belief known publicly because they were afraid of what the Pharisees would do to them, and if they would kick them out of the synagogue and all of that. And John wrote there in verse 43, he said, "For they loved human praise more than the praise from God." I'll take that again. For they loved human praise more than the praise from God. And when I studied my Bible, I literally always, read it for myself, read it and ask myself, in what way could I, fall for this? In what way could this be said of me? And that's the way I approach it. I read the Bible and I'm like, oh my God, is there any way that it could be said of me right now that I love the praise of people more than I love the praise from God? And I thought, And so I started unpacking it. What could that look like for me as an individual, naturally, just as Jackie? And then I began to get see what does that look like for me as a wife, as a married person? What would that look like for me as a single person? And I'm going to do a video particularly for singles and how singles can fall into the trap, into this trap. But this video is actually for couples, married people, and it's about how you may already have fallen for this trap or how you may be falling into this trap. And I want you to watch your back and pull yourself out of this trap quickly before it is too late. So here are about 5 or 6 ways that a married person could fall into the trap of seeking and running their marriage for the praise of people rather than the praise of God. Number one is when you find couples or spouses who perform perfect marriage for public image. It's a big trap that is even so rampant now because of the social media life, because everyone can see everyone, everyone can appraise your marriage, and you want to look good. Everybody wants to look good. Nobody ever puts up a video where they're looking ugly or tired or dirty. And we do have dirty looks at home, but everyone wants to look good. Now, the trap is this, that because you want to show up perfect, right? Because you want to look good, because you want to, get the praise of people, you are putting up appearances. You have to be careful. You have to be careful of falling into the trap where couples, especially those in ministry, especially those in leadership, those out there on social media streets, who have great following, they become more invested in appearing united, appearing happy, appearing, in love. They want to give us the couple goals imagery, than what they truly have. Some of them are crying themselves to sleep. Some of them don't even share the same bed, but you see them steadily wanting to prove, and just showing up like we're good. One picture where they're smiling out of, 10 days of no smiles to each other, and you're wondering, no way, you can't be performing perfect marriage for public image, because then you don't have the praise of God, but you have the praise of people. And so I thought I would share that as the first one, because if you don't have a honest, grace-filled, intimate marriage behind the scene, please don't come and show us a picture that looks like that. Do you see? Because then you think you're deceiving us, but you're not deceiving. You're actually deceiving yourself, and God in heaven is looking at you. So remember not to be like these people who believed, who John said about them that they preferred and they loved the praise of people rather than the praise of God. Don't crave for the applause of being the ideal couple rather than, God's pleasure over your real obedient, marriage relationship and even your vulnerable relationship. You are better off being in a vulnerable, honest, open relationship than in one where you're putting up appearances. So please prioritize private connection. If at all we see you outside and we see, and that's one of the philosophies that guides my life, if I'm putting up a picture, it has to be 10% of what I'm really experiencing behind the scene, and that's the truth. The fun, the love, the peace, and all of that, you only get to see 10-20%, meaning that I'm not even, but if I'm showing you something that is just 1 out of 2 weeks, that is not good. And that is me looking for the applause of people. And that would not take us too far as a couple. And I'm sharing this because I want you to watch your back and watch it. It's so easy to fall into this trap in the days we live in. If your marriage is thriving in the secret place, it's thriving in prayer, it's thriving in communication, it's thriving in forgiveness, the fruit will naturally show. It would show naturally to neighbors. It would show naturally to your children. It would show naturally to your community. It would show. And so you don't have to even put up any performance. You have to just be willing to drop the mask and seek help. Please come into counseling if you think you need, if you know that your marriage is not what you're making it look like, even when you talk about it. Come into sessions and counseling sessions, and I hold one, that. Get on my website, book a session. We can unpack it and begin to work towards the kind of marriage that you truly want and you want to showcase, okay? Even if it looks like coming to seek help would dent your image, forget the image. Remember what we said. We're seeking the praise of God, praise from God, not praise from people. That's number one way that spouses may fall into this trap. Second way that spouses may fall into this trap is when they make decisions based on cultural, family approval, even societal norms. See, it's very easy. I'll tell you how this happens. Let's even just look at cultural and family approval. A husband or wife, leans more towards what the extended family says every time, or what the extended family will approve of, or what they will think, oh wow, so church culture, even social norms, the things that they expect people to do, a couple then begins to do that. They want to do what people would applaud, what people would say, oh wow, oh, they also just got that, oh wow, that's what is trending now, even when God is not leading them that way. So you see couples make family decisions that are contrary to what God is leading them to do, what God is leading their union to do, or where to be, but they are following the trends. You see, they're making decisions based on cultural or family approval. And there are many examples I can give. It can happen even with parenting styles. Yep. Where you're like, oh, this is what they do, this is how we do it. But you have to ask yourself, is that the way that God would want you to parent these children? As an example, finances. Oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that. But is that what God will have you do with your finances? That's one way to fall into the trap where you are getting the praise of people, but you're not getting the praise from God who made you, brought you together, and sustains you as a family. And sometimes even ministry roles, you want to take up the big role. You want to, when God is just saying, stay behind the scene and do this for me. Right. And sometimes some people just are like, no, we're not taking this role. We don't want anything to do with, we don't want to even be known as ministry people. We just want to go through and come back. But God has a call over you as a couple. But you want to do things that just, seem culturally good. You want to be politically correct. And then you are not getting the praise from God because you're not working in alignment with His will. And sometimes it's in your lifestyle choices as well. Everyone is doing it, we're doing it, or we're traveling so because, even when you're maybe doing many things that are ungodly just to make it happen. Think about it. This is a way that couples can fall into the trap. So return to your marital altar, pray and discern together what is right, what God will have you do. Let me let you know that God can have, three families do this and that. And those things they're doing are not even bad things. And it can be a taboo for your own union. I know this very well. I speak about consecrations, for couples who are working with the Lord, and consecrations can be different for different couples. This is why your relationship with God matters even as a couple. So pray and discern together, ask the Lord, Lord, what is your will for our home? What is your will for our marriage? What is your will for our union? Even if others disapprove, God's praise matters more. So please remember this even as you continue to run your marriage. Number three for me is that trap of people pleasing within the marriage. See, let me tell you how I always say something. I always say that there is a way that I could seek to please my husband that I could be falling short with God. I always say that there's a way that I will be seeking to do everything my husband wants the way he wants it, that I will be falling short before the Lord, because it may not be, depending on the kind of husband I have, it may not be everything he wants me to do that is godly. I always say on the other spectrum, on the other side, that if I seek to please God with the way I deal with my husband, then I will do well with my husband. I hope you get it. That you can easily fall into a trap of people pleasing, man pleasing, and a trap where God is not pleased with you because you're just seeking to please man, even when what you're doing is against the will of God. Do you see? Now, let me tell you how this plays out. People pleasing within the marriage is one wife saying, I'm just going to keep let me just adjust, let me suppress my own thoughts and emotions, let me just, let me overextend, let me just be doing the most just because, let me just keep this married, let me just, in fact, you hear some people say, oh, my parents did not have a great marriage, and that is a valid motivation. However, it is not that you get into a marriage and continue to please a man even when he says go and do this and that. Some people in a marriage are saying, oh, my spouse said we should do a threesome and we're doing it because I want to please him, I don't want him to go out. Do you see what I'm saying? That is a trap. You have already crossed the line by now seeking to please man within the marriage, and you have stopped pleasing God. And of course, you don't get the praise of God for a threesome, as an example. Do you see what I'm saying? Good. So people pleasing within the marriage is another trap, another way that couples fall into this trap. Okay, this trap of getting the praise of men rather than the praise of God. You want to be seen as a good wife or even a good husband, keeping the peace. There's a way you're saying, I'm just because of peace sake, but you are actually flouting godly principles, because it doesn't say that we should keep putting and pushing things under the carpet. No, it actually says that we should confront evil. It actually says that we should speak, in brotherly love, correct in love. Do you see? So there are, you understand? And you say, good morning, you're really, literally, you're letting your wife do that, and you're allowing things to happen that way, and you're meant to be the leader. Would Jesus have allowed that to continue? Do you see what I'm saying? And so that's how we gradually slip out. We slip into that trap of people pleasing, even within the marriage. God is big and keen on marriage being a pruning ground for us. So if you are saying, I don't want to ruffle feathers, actually, the ruffling of feathers is actually the way that God makes us better people in our marriage. It's actually the way that He prunes us. So if you were just let me keep quiet, then you are even getting in the way of what God had destined to make make you better and make your spouse better. It's literally getting in the way, and there's no way you get praise for that. So learn to speak the truth in love. God is not impressed by performance. He values truth. He values growth. Pleasing Him sometimes may mean having uncomfortable, hard, but necessary conversations. And if you're struggling with having those conversations, come and have it in a session with me. Just today I had a session with a couple, and the one of the spouses said that these are the conversations I've been trying to have. These are things I've been trying to say, but it looks as if having it with you here has done the whole magic, and it's making more sense, and I'm getting the response that I should get. Yes, that's what can happen if you also maybe say, what, we're not able to have this conversation on our own. It looks like we never get anything said or agreed or understood come into a session with me. I'm here as an intermediary. I'm here as a counselor. I'm here as a coach, a mediator, and I can sit with you. So if you want to do that, you may want to look at the link in my description box, because it's got actually my booking links, and you can book a session depending on what the situation is for you. And I'm happy to sit with both of you and to help you move forward, in this. I want you not to fall for that trap. Don't fall for it. Get out of it. The other way rather, that couples can fall into this trap of pleasing people rather than pleasing God, of getting the praise of people and loving the praise of people rather than the praise of God, is when they measure their marriage by external validation or by comparing with other couples. See, couples may look to how others are living their lives, or how others react, or the compliments they get from church, from family, friends, from colleagues, likes that they have on their anniversary post, on their vacation post, ministry invitations that couples are getting. You're like, oh my God, look at how others are reacting. Oh, because I posted that we went to minister together, and then you now begin to measure your marriage success just based by those validations. And those validations may not even be, most of the time, not how God is validating. You remember that God always says, I am not even looking at appearance, I'm looking at the heart. And so the moment you see that you are living for the validation, or you're living by the validation of people, you're living by comparing your marriage to another marriage, you're deciding if your marriage is successful, if you look at it based on how Mr. and Mrs. D's marriage is, then you have already fallen into the trap of people pleasing. You are no longer walking a journey that is looking like, God, I want, I'm seeking your praise. And you need to pull yourself from that. You have to anchor your marriage in God's word. Very important. Not others' applause, not others' validation, not others' nod, and not in how others are doing theirs. Everyone has a journey. I always say to my clients in sessions that Mr. and Mrs. A, Mr. and Mrs. B, even if two of the spouses are siblings, they have different journey and destiny. Even when twins get married to their different spouses, their destinies are different, their journeys are different, their callings are different, their graces are different. There's no reason you should be comparing your marriage to another and then even be living out your marriage based off of that comparison, or what that other couple is doing. The Bible says that those who even compare themselves to themselves, they are fools. Never do it. Never do it. And so anchor your marriage in God's word, not the applause of others. Everybody, every couple will go through their quiet seasons, their hidden seasons, their seasons of working through conflicts, seasons of working through life issues, seasons of working through times where it looks like, it doesn't make your marriage less valuable in God's eyes. In fact, it may even be in that time where you're working through difficulty, through conflict, that your marriage is even more valuable to God, because He's using that moment, that conflict, that issue, that season to do a good work in your heart, making you more like Christ. Even that season of lack sometimes can be a time that God is using to refocus both of you as a couple that is looking unto Him, your provider. So I want to implore you, as I put this, put this together, and let's close it. I want to implore you and I want to beg you, avoid the trap of being a couple that seeks the praise of people, that seeks to please people, but be the couple, that seeks the praise of God, the applause of God, that lives for the audience of one, which is God Almighty, by developing a shared conviction, a conviction that says God's well done is what we are building for. God's well done is what we're living for. Build that shared conviction. Let it guide both of you over day and day, night by night. Let it guide you. Let it guard your hearts as well. Let it guard your actions as well. Secondly, is make sure that you keep your private altar vibrant, meaning pray together regularly. Align yourself in prayers, keep your eyes on God. One person cannot afford to just be going on weeks without praying, and because you will lose focus. You will begin to seek approval of men. The other thing is also be willing to disappoint people, as in just have a natural space, or approach or attitude that I will disappoint people as long as I'm obeying God. Some people will be disappointed, and it's okay. Even if it's my mom, even if it's my father-in-law, even if it's, whoever it is, just be willing to disappoint people if it means obeying God. If you can have that at the back of your mind as a couple, you will go far. You will do well. I'm telling you, and you will have everyone's applaud. I wrote a book in 2019, Marriage on Purpose. It's a best-selling book. Go and find it. I'll also keep the link in my description box so that if you want to buy, you can buy it. I said, marriage on purpose, how to have a marriage that heaven applauds, because that's the ultimate. There is nothing to your life, to your marriage, if heaven does not say well done, or if heaven is not saying that's good, that's the way to go. That's what we're living for. People can say well done today, tomorrow they're stoning you. You have to remember that. So it's got to always be, for the applause of heaven and of God. And I think one thing I'd also leave with you is regularly strip back performance. Take, two steps backwards and ask each other often, are we doing this for God or for appearances or to look good or whatever? You have to remember that. You have to remember that often and often. I check why I'm doing what I'm doing. I check what, I check why I'm even posting. I check why I'm writing. I check why I'm preaching. Like, why? It's got to be because it's for God, is what He will have me do, than just for appearance sake. In fact, if you leave me, I just want to, Netflix and chill. Do you see what I mean? So you have to always make sure you're checkmating yourself and yourselves accordingly. I know that this video would have helped you, and this is where I'm going to just call it, call it a day. And I trust that this has been a blessing. I want you to do a few things for me. Please leave me a comment and tell me which of the traps sounds familiar or you want to run away from. Put the trap there. Tell me what you got from it, and just share your comment about this video and how it has blessed you. But also share this video with other couples that you know around you. It would bless them. I literally know, and that's why I came to record this video, at this time of the night, just because I know it to be a blessing for someone and for many couples out there. Also, remember that if you need help in any way, counseling, coaching, whether it's a recovery from infidelity, whether it's strengthening your marriage, whether it's, too many conflicts and it looks like this thing is breaking, come and let's sit together and let's have a stronger marriage. I can help you. If you go onto my website, you'll find different programs I've got for different issues, and you can find what works for you and you can book a session. And if it's a one-off resolution program, please do so. Find the link in my bio, in the description box rather, and you can book yourself a session, and I'll be happy to sit with both of you and help you get the elephant out of the room so that you can continue to have a beautiful, intimate marriage. Until I do another video, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share with your friends. Thank you.